Hey everybody. Alright, so today, we're gonna be looking at, sketching the graph for a quadratic function, and the curve is called the parabola, right? Alright, so question says given the function 3x squared minus 18x plus 7, write in the form ax plus h squared plus k. Then it says sketch the graph for the function. Alright, so I'm not going to necessarily go into writing in the form because there are videos done on that. The focus of this video is sketching the graph. Alright, so let's do that. Alright, so we did it. We wrote the function in the form. So we know that this is our, let me use a different color. This is our A. This is your h, and the 20 is your k. So it says sketch the graph for the function showing the coordinate of the minimum point, which you should know is negative hk. So that's gonna be positive 3 because h is negative 3 and it's negative h, and the k is negative 20. That's gonna be our minimum point or turning point. And we discussed in class that the y-intercept is c from the original function. So a, b, c is 7. So the y-intercept is going to be 7. So that means that the graph will cut the y-axis at 7. And the values of x where the graph cuts the x-axis, that is what we need to solve for. And we can go ahead and use the vertex form, equate it to 0 and solve for x. So let us do that. So we have equated the vertex form to 0, so now we can solve. In solving this, we always move the constant first, transpose the constant first. So in that case, we will be transposing negative 20. And when we transpose negative 20 from the left side of the equal side to the right side of the equal sign, then that becomes positive 20. The next thing that we want to do is to divide both sides of the equation by the a. So divide both sides by 3. And when we round that off, it is 6.7. And then we have to get rid of the square by doing the opposite, which is to square root both sides. So square root will cancel square root on the left hand side. Notice I have the plus or minus sign at the square root here. Remember that every square number has 2 square roots, a positive square root and a negative square root. Why? Because if you multiply negative 4 by negative 4, you're going to get positive 16, right? And if you multiply positive 4 by positive 4, you get the same 16. So that means the square root of 16 could be either negative 4 or positive 4. So that means every square number has 2 square roots, either a negative square root or a positive square root. In this case, we're required to use both of them. So that is why we have the plus or minus sign right there in green. So bracket is gone. So the square root of 6.7 is 2.6. So that means we're going to have x minus 3 equal positive 2.6 as well as x minus 3 equal negative 2.6. And then we proceed to solve each of the equation to get the values of x. So we would transpose the negative 3, it would become positive. So right here, x would be equal to 3 plus 5 plus 2.6. So that would be 5.6. And over here, we would have 2.6 plus negative 2.6 plus 3. So I believe that would be 0.4. So x equal 0.4. So now that we have our two values of x, we can proceed to sketch the graph. So we draw our axes label y-axis, y-axis, x-axis, and then we put in the values that we know that we're gonna need. So put in all the x values that you'll need. It's a sketch, so it doesn't need to be precise. So I will need positive 3. I will need, alright, so I want a little more space on that. So this is gonna be our 0.4. This is gonna be 3. And this is gonna be 5.6. And those are all the x values that we need. And then y-axis. So we're going to need to put in our y-intercept. Let me say 7 is here. Oh no. I'm going to put positive 7 here. And negative 20 down here. I don't believe we need anything else. So remember that the equation for the axis of symmetry is x equals negative h. So in this case that is 3. So we want to draw a line through that broken line, right? Next thing to note is that the minimum point is 3, negative 20. So I'm going to highlight that point right here. So that's the point. 3, negative 20, that's the point. So our curve must pass through this point. And our y-intercept is 7, so our curve must also cut the y-axis here at 7. So seeing that it's all the way up there, I'm going to pass through that first. It must pass through the x values that we found, so that's 0.4. Then go up through the point and pass through our other x point. And that is a sketch of our curve. So after we found the points, the values, we put them on the line. And then we can, depending on what value we have, so if it is a positive y-intercept, then you start a little above the y-intercept and flow through it, through to the x, then the point, the minimum point, then the other x. If it was a negative turning point, then you would start with the x value first, then go through, if it's a negative y-intercept value, you'd start with the x value first, then go through the y-intercept, through the point, and up through the other x value. Thank you.